Welcome back everyone to the channel, and I want to talk about something rather interesting and what people are calling a divide on the right of politics. And again, it's to do with the former deputy leader of Reform UK, Ben Habib, and this time a clash that he's had with Lee Anderson, the outspoken MP for Reform UK. Now, just to give people a bit of background around to her, Ben Habib says a lot of sensible stuff. He's able, not being a Reform MP now, to say some things that we all agree with that Nigel Farage, for example, might have to be careful with. But Ben Habib, of all the big names in Reform, was the only one who didn't win a seat at the last general election. Following the election, Nigel Farage had a shake around and put a new chairman in Richard Tice's place and put Richard Tice as deputy leader. Ben Habib then, but yet he claims he did before, started talking about the structure of Reform, saying that it wasn't being democratised quick enough. We now know that that is the case. Farage has promised that, but Ben Habib on this instance is now showing, just to me, how bitter he actually is with Reform UK. So like I said, Ben Habib speaks a lot of sense. He speaks a lot of sense on Russia and Ukraine when he talks about the real history there. He talks a lot of sense on immigration. But I want to read you an exchange, I should say now, not Twitter, between Ben Habib and Lee Anderson. So Lee Anderson had shared a post about Starmer's army would have never been elected if voters had been told the truth. I think that is something that we can all agree with. Surely Ben Habib would also agree. But Ben Habib noticed somebody had replied claiming that Lee Anderson had stole this line. And Ben Habib replied to Lee Anderson, "Do Reform UK now allow plagiarism?" Now, this is where I mean with the bitterness. So many people who support Ben Habib and don't like Nigel Farage use Ben Habib as kind of like a hero, saying he should be in charge of Reform UK. And they claim he's not bitter at all. It's just purely because Nigel Farage is a dictator and he's not democratised the party. Well, if that's the case, why is Ben Habib now taking pot shots about tweets from Lee Anderson, an MP for Reform that everybody agrees with the positions he tends to take? Well, Lee Anderson struck back, and this is where people are talking about the divide on the right. Lee Anderson took to Twitter and he branded Habib a pathetic little man trying to smear Reform, and you thought Mike Amesbury was punchy. And he told Ben Habib basically to be on his bike and stay away from Reform UK. So my take on this, it would be better if this didn't happen. It divides opinion. But I actually think that Lee Anderson is absolutely in the right. I think that Ben Habib is being portrayed as people as some type of hero. But he would, the truth be told, he wasn't a big enough player to get elected at the time. Now, I think Ben Habib should have stayed in the party. I think Ben Habib should have worked at the next general election and he would have become an MP and trusted Nigel Farage that he would have made the changes Ben Habib wanted to see. But let's be honest, if you're Ben Habib, you're now the deputy leader, Reform, and nowhere near then as big as they are now. And its founder, Nigel Farage, high profile, comes back, and all the news is about Farage, and all the other big players by you get elected. We've all had that green-eyed monster, but Ben Habib, for me, needs to stop this, because what's happening, it is playing on the anti-Nigel Farage, and is giving nothing but bad press to Reform UK. Now, let's be honest, if we want to see big change in this country, there is only one party led by one man who can win the next general election, and that is no other than Nigel Farage. Now, I'm going to do another video tomorrow because a lot of people have been talking about Rupert Law should be the leader, and Rupert Law now seems to be taking these comments on board and has made some very interesting comments about Nigel Farage, which I'm going to talk about more in the next video. But for me, Nigel Farage is such a big character that if you lose Farage as the leader of Reform UK, little by little, Reform UK will become less and less relevant. Now, in the long-term goal, I totally agree. Reform UK need to be bigger than just Nigel Farage. But you know what? If they win at the next general election because of Farage and they get 300 plus MPs, there'll be plenty of people who can take over when Farage is ready for retiring. But I don't think we should start problems before we've even got to that stage. Now, also going around today in the news, which I find very interesting, and I'm quite passionate about some of the lies that are being told with Ukraine and Russia. And as of today, Donald Trump has not only suspended all aid to Ukraine, he has now stopped intelligence going to Ukraine, which actually stops them seeing some of the long-range missiles that Russia are sending in. Now, Donald Trump is being criticised around the world for this, but I believe that Trump sees something that he's not admitting. I think Trump has spoke to Putin and Russia, he spoke to Zelensky, and he is now seeing something that I've seen for a while, that it seems that Zelensky, the opposition MPs in his country, Europe, and all the Western leaders, even Joe Biden before Trump, all seem to be hell-bent that this war can't be stopped. Now, the only person who's told Trump that they actually want this war to stop is actually Vladimir Putin. Now, we could argue all day on is it right or wrong and talk about the history of the land that Putin is likely to keep. But Trump can see clearly that this war needs to come to an end. I think Trump has now took the position that Zelensky, this is Trump's position, and I actually tend to agree with it, is more interested in himself and doing what his masters tell him than the lives of Russians and Ukrainians. And I think Donald Trump, seeing that Europe are going to back him that much financially that he might not need America, is now pummeling on the pressure. Now, the downside to this, although I think this will lead to the war ending, unfortunately, it's going to mean more Ukrainians dying. But let me know what you think about, first of all, the comments by Ben Habib and accusing Lee Anderson of plagiarism and Lee Anderson's reply back to him. Do you think this is splitting the right, or do you think people can see through it? Or maybe you disagree with me. Disagreement and debate is healthier than anything. Do you actually think that Ben Habib's right? And what do you think about the position now that Trump is taking? Because a new poll says that a majority of Reform UK voters actually don't support Donald Trump when it comes to Putin and Zelensky, the Russian-Ukraine war. So let me know what you think in the comments about the measures that Trump's taking. And one final thought. If Donald Trump, with the intelligence he gets, has took this position, surely there's something behind it. Well, thank you all for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel to try and allow me to get more of these videos to more people. And I'll see you on the next video.